Looking for a fun, quick, simple art exercise you can do even if you only have a few minutes, but also teaches you fun watercolor skills and a little bit about color theory? This week's video is perfect for you. Welcome to Better with Art. I'm Melinda, and I'm here to encourage you to reclaim your creativity and practice creative self-care with weekly small art prompts that can be done in an art journal or on paper if you don't have one. Let's get started. As you can see, I have been having some fun bringing beauty to last week's chaos, but I do not have time to put together to share what I've been working on and where I'd like to go with these. So I thought this would be a perfect time to do a simple project that I have seen on Instagram and saved a while back, and uses our complementary color mixing and illustrates how that works. You'll need your watercolors and only yellow and purple, which are, as mentioned, complementary colors. The inexpensive pan watercolors that I usually use do have a rather violent purple, but I do prefer the Praying that I switched to a while back to the Crayola that I used to use. You can find a link to both of them in my Amazon store. I'm going to give myself a smaller box to work in. And we'll start sort of swatching the purple and the yellow. So I shouldn't have rinsed my brush yet, but the first thing we'll do is start with our yellow, as mentioned. And we're going to want to start with it nice and deep at the top. Add some more with a little less water. And then have it gently wash out into a gradient. Create sort of a gradient that just fades the yellow away. I think instead of doing separate spots as the original artist did, with the way I have things set up and with this type of watercolor, she was using tube watercolors. So these are the two colors we'll be working with, our yellow and our purple. And yes, I'm a little scattered in my description, but we'll get there. So we have our yellow, and we're going to take a little bit of our purple and add it to our yellow. We don't want too much. Then we will make, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to dry it. Oh, goodness. Well, let's see how it works this way. Because using a hairdryer isn't always convenient anyway. And not everyone even has one. So, we'll see how it works. There will be some more bleeding, of course, but that's okay. I did not gradient that well enough, but it's wet, so we can deal with our error with a paper towel. So yes, this 10-minute exercise I may have been a little too light on the purple. I thought it was getting a little too dark, but again, we have our yellow, and we'll add some purple, a little bit more than last time. And that would be a way that having the separate segments would be convenient. Again, to do this the best, drying is preferred, but I always do like experimenting with how it works with fewer resources or less expensive resources, because better with art is supposed to be as as accessible as possible, as inexpensive and easy to get the supplies as possible, because it doesn't need to cost a lot of money to reclaim your creativity, and the projects are supposed to be brief, that you can put more time into if you have it, but you can do even if you only have a few minutes for your creative self-care art practice. So there was a cat hair in there, so I went up a little further, but that's okay. This shop towel is very wet from what else I've been working on. So this already has a little bit of yellow in it. Maybe a little more would make it a little more dramatic. I'll illustrate what we're doing a little better. So this works even if you can't dry your paper and have a very small amount of time in which to do your creative self-care art making. But it would also be beneficial to I guess the better word would be helpful. If you want it to turn out looking more like actual mountains receding into the distance, drying it would be preferable. But quick, simple, illustrates a useful technique for working with watercolors, and illustrates what happens when you mix complementary colors. I will be back next week with another creative self-care art prompt, which should be the continuation of making our messes beautiful. And if you were listening to last week's video and heard me mention that I would have 5 steps to get comfortable with systemic writing, that is still coming for my midweek studio video. But let's just say, well, life is lifey and time is hard to come by. But taking time to make art is not a waste of time. Thank you for the opportunity to remind you of that. You can find some links to materials used and other fun arty links in the description.